Welcome back, guys, for another session on from Karnik. So, so far we were talking mainly about cybersecurity related topics in the automotive field, uh, and now we also want to bring in the artificial intelligence topic, which has been a burning topic as well, which is a new topic that is emerging out and also getting a lot of attention from all the fields, including the automotive area as well. So this is where we want to bring in the artificial intelligence topic as well here in our sessions. In the subsequent sessions, we'll also talk about the detailed approaches that are available that can be leveraged to follow uh, in the automotive industry to benefit the development and the testing life cycle. However, today we will talk about the generic details about the artificial intelligence. So, welcome again to our first of the many artificial intelligence series, and we look forward to you following us. Please also post your questions, and we'll be very happy to answer you. And also, if there are any discussion points, we'll be very happy to hear your opinions as well. Moving on. So, today, the first topic that we are going to talk about is the challenges that are there in the current, let's say, artificial intelligence topic itself. So whenever we talk about artificial intelligence, the first word that comes to our mind is models. What are these models? What do we understand by these models? And there are so many things available today. If you want to understand anything about automotive industry, not specifically automotive industry, any topic, you just go to ChatGPT and ask the question, what does ChatGPT do? Internally, they have some models, and what are these things? So, in the automotive field, in the artificial intelligence field, you normally hear the word generic models a lot. These models are nothing but mathematical formulas built on a supercomputer where a lot of data is involved in training this using this mathematical model trained uh, a series of instructions so that the model itself, the mathematical formula, when given a new set of data, will be able to classify or provide information on the new set of data that it has been given to. So initially it all started with classification, and now we also have things like large language models where generation are also possible. This is a brief overview about these models. Of course, we are not going to go in depth about the model itself. I mean, why, how the models are created, because that is going to be more of a artificial intelligence topic, and there are lot of vast contents available on internet. As I'm pretty sure you guys are also aware of it. Now, what we are mainly going to address in this series is, can we use generic model directly? What is the consequence of using the generic model? So if you start, let's say you're already working for a project where you are trying to build a particular ECU, you are in the development phase of a particular ECU, you have customer requirements, and then you probably want to generate some requirements, maybe a software level requirement or a hardware level requirement. You don't know where to start. So you would say, okay, I'll use ChatGPT and then I'll provide my customer requirement document as an input and then ask ChatGPT to derive the hardware requirements for me. Sure, you can do it. And as far as I know, ChatGPT also will provide you a decent amount of data. May not be a perfect hardware requirement specification, but a decent amount of data probably may be provided. Again, there will be questions on how the output would be, but what are the pitfalls here that we need to look for? When you provide a customer requirement document, this is a confidential document because these documents are coming from your customers. probably some of the OEMs, where critical confidential data are available in terms of architecture, what kind of algorithms are being used, what is the model, what communication protocol is being used, what is the baud rate, etc. If this gets exposed, then there are a lot of hackers who can exploit this data and try to have malicious attacks on the vehicle. As you know, if one architecture diagram is leaked, it's every car is not built separately with a different architecture. Normally, OEMs, when they build a particular model of a car, it will be a single architecture which would cover millions and millions of vehicles. So that means if one architecture confidential data is leaked, then millions and millions of vehicles from that OEM are compromised. And this is a biggest risk that we are facing if we start using these generic models. Apart from that, the other minor details that would also come up is if you start using generic models, of course, the chat GPT itself is trained for a general application. It is not an automotive specific application. So this is where there will always be a question on the output that is generated. We will also look a bit more in detail in the next slide what kind of questions these will be. Moving on to the next slide. As I mentioned, we were talking about the GPT models or any other open source models that are available openly for the public. What are the consequences? So we talked about the GPT being trained on generic data. What would change in terms of automotive specific data? A very simple example that I can think of right now would be, let's consider two scenarios. One, where you're trying to build a particular application feature for, I don't know, an industrial application. The same feature for automotive specific application. The biggest challenge between these two is the space and memory, right? So if it is an industrial application, then you have a lot more um, freedom in terms of timing, in terms of area where you can place more components, in terms of the hardware, etc. That means you have a lot more RAM, lot more CPU power. um these are some of the things that you would get which you can spend lavishly. Sadly, in the field of automotive, this is not the case because the size is limited, the size of the car is limited, the weight also matters. So that means every ECU, every part of the car will have a limited weight. So the overall goal of the complete vehicle or the manufacturer of the vehicle would be to reduce the weight to make sure that um, as much as possible they get put in, because when we are talking about the mechanical bodies, there are a lot more weight coming into a picture. So this is where the size, and there will be a huge size constraint and the weight constraint, because of which you will have limited data, limited availability, even in terms of the hardware as well. Now, considering these facts, if you provide some customer requirements to the generic GPT models and ask it to generate whether it is going to be feasible in software, whether it is going to be feasible to create a particular software set of requirements and implement, it might give a not so specific result which is specific to automotive, because it will also consider, it'll it'll loop in the internet all the data. It'll try to check all the data, where more than automotive specific data there are other data as well, and you might not get specific right output. So this is also another big challenge when we are talking about data. The next thing that comes to my mind when we are trying to use the generic model is it requires a lot of customizations. That means when we are talking about automotive, of course, there is a standard, at least in terms of the software development, there is a definite standard that is, there is AUTOSAR standard, there is an application layer, there is a software BSW basic software layer, there is hardware layer, there is microcontroller abstraction layer. There is a defined structure, but otherwise, this is more on the lines of creating the software. However, when we are talking about uh, generating the requirements or maintaining the requirements or creating the architecture, there are various possibilities. Every organization have their own set of data. So this is where not always an open source AI model will be able to tailor the needs based on the organization's requests. So there might be a lot of customizations that would be required. So these are some of the important challenges that come into our mind when we are talking about generic model. We also have our experts who have been working on the AI domain. So we will also try to have a discussion on what are the challenges that they faced when they started working on uh, creating solutions on the AI models. So uh, if we have to, let's say, train a particular model, what are the challenges that we would face? Maybe Ronak, if you have any thoughts to share about how do we train the model? Is it really possible? What are the challenges we face when we are trying to train a particular model?
So yeah, when we talk about training the model, so here we are talking about the LLMs, large language model. So these models are very complex. Uh, so that's why like whatever the models generally we use, generative models, those are trained on large amount of data with so many resources and so on. And it's very complex in nature. And now when we talk about training, so first we have to see for what is the reason we are training the model. So we have to understand like why do we want to train the model and what we want to achieve by training the model. For example, the thing could be like we were talking about generic model. It doesn't have the confidential information about certain organization data, right? And we want to use this model to perform certain activities also based on this confidential data. So this is the one could be this one. This could be one of the reason we want to train the model. Uh, but now when we see like we want to train the model based on this proprietary data, so we have to come up with like what data we'll train the model with, and do we have the sufficient data to train? Because again, uh, training the data, sorry, training the model with proprietary data takes like large amount of data to model to learn. And also there are certain techniques used for training the model. So also we have to like get the understanding of those, like how do we want to train the model and so on. And the performance of the model after the training generally depends on two criterias. Uh, I mean, as of now, what I think, one could be the quality of the training data, what we have used, and second would be the method of the training, how we have trained the model. So if we have very less amount of data used to train the model, certainly model will not be able to learn the new things, and it may not give the expected output, and it may also lose the ability which was also model has earlier. Like model was able to do certain things earlier, but now with the training, model might not be able to do those things also, which it was doing earlier. So yeah, there could be several issues also with the model training.
Thank you, Ronak. So, in short, to summarize the understanding, it's quite difficult to train a model because it has a lot of factors. Factor number one being the amount of data that you have with which you can train the model. Factor number two, the techniques with which you train the model. Factor number three, if you train the model, you should be careful enough to not overtrain the model so that it affects the performance. So that's one of the biggest challenge that right now the AI industry is facing, at least to bring the AI into the field of automotive. So in short, this session we wanted to cover a gist about the artificial intelligence. What are the challenges? We also will bring you more and more sessions, more and more topics. We have exciting topics as well. Topics like what can AI do right now? Topics like what is the threshold that is achieved by AI? Topics like what are the different methods that we can use in the AI itself, and topics like what are the activities in the automotive that AI can perform in assisting the developers. It doesn't mean that if we say it is very difficult to use generic model, that it doesn't mean that we cannot use AI. Of course, there's a lot of things that AI can do. We'll bring you all these topics and give you more insights on these topics. Stay tuned. Please follow us on all the social media channels and to receive more and more interesting content on cybersecurity and AI. Thank you so much, and we wish you a nice rest of the day from wherever you are.